On October 16, 1955, 3 boys disappeared in the Chicago neighborhood of Jefferson Park. Their bodies were discovered 2 days later in a nearby park. This incident remained a cold case for more than 40 years. James Jack worked on the case, and he tells the story of the missing children in his new crime memoir, 3 Boys Missing. And James Jack joins us now, and welcome to Chicago Tonight.
Thank you very much.
First of all, for people who don't know the case, just give us the basic facts. What happened?
Well, the basic facts here was it's a heartbreaking story that took place in Chicago of a brutal assault and murder on October the 16th, 1955. 3 young boys, 2 of them were brothers, one Anthony Schuessler, and the other boy was John Schuessler, aged 13, and the baby was 11. And their good friend, Robert Peterson, aged 13. These 3 boys went downtown to a show on a Sunday afternoon to enjoy themselves. And they went to see a Walt Disney movie, in fact, called The African Lion. And the boys never returned home. And on October the 18th, the time that we fixed was around 12:15 p.m. in the afternoon. We were sitting in our captain's office going over details what we were going to do next. Several other detectives, seasoned detectives. I was the youngest one on the totem pole there. And these guys had 20, 25 years, and the captain was giving us some lecture of what we're going to do. And then all of a sudden he received a call about 10 after 1, and he slumped down in his seat and started to cry and told us that, guys, we have a triple homicide.
You were one of the, before that phone call, before that meeting, you were one of the first people to talk to the parents of the boys before their bodies were discovered.
Correct.
What do you remember from that conversation?
Well, I didn't talk to the parents. I talked to the father. We were coming. I was working a 4 to 12 shift with my partner and myself, and it was raining Sunday night, very bad. And we tried to get into the station to do our homework, couple reports, and get them into the sergeant for the next day. And that was exactly 20 after 11 that evening, Sunday on the 16th. And as we came up the front corridor, sergeant at the desk asked me if I would talk to this gentleman that was standing on the side. He was standing in a puddle of water and hat. He was soaking wet. And I said, "My name is Detective Jack." He says, "My name is Mr. Malcolm Peterson." I said, "What can I do for you?" And he told me the same story I just related to you. The 3 boys went downtown to the show, and I told him, "Come on in my office. Would you like some coffee, water?" No. He was very nervous, and he sat down, and we discussed. I tried to comfort him a little, and he was telling me about his wife, and she's so shook up. And I told him that numbers in 3s, don't disappear. How
the
long
likelihood of 3 boys together that anything would happen to all 3 of them was not likely.
Yeah, numbers in 3s, and I was so wrong about that, but I had to tell him something. I told him we'll go out on the street, and my partner and myself did go back, and we stayed out until about 20 after 1. That would be Sunday night, Monday morning, and I did take a little report on a missing report. I didn't fill the whole thing out because the rule of thumb in those days, kids come back in 5 hours, 6 hours, and I didn't know that much about his kids yet or the Schuessler boys. And I just took their names, their ages, and the clothing that they had on, just in case somebody saw.
And of course, the next day their bodies were found. But there was no final conviction in the case until 1995. Why did it take so long?
Well, why did it take so long? Well, number one was we didn't have the information that we really wanted to have. And at that particular time, there was no suspects, nobody that we could talk to, and my thought at that particular time, that in my book I make it clear that if, I'm saying if, two of the main witnesses in that trial, Herb Hollitz.
In the first trial or the second?
In the first trial and
two.
the second trial. Herb Hollitz and Roger Spray, if they would have came forward and talked to us about their experiences, that case would have been solved maybe 7-8 weeks after it happened.
The man convicted, Kenneth Hansen, convicted in the first trial, overturned on appeal, convicted in a second case. Who is he?
He's a vicious pedophile that probably molested over 1,000 kids in 40 years. I mean, the first trial, as you just said, it was overturned because the state came in with many, many witnesses that was picked up by Kenneth Hansen.
Do you believe Kenneth Hansen is guilty?
Oh, I believe it with the bottom of my heart.
Why did you write this book?
I wrote the book because I had something to do with the families. It was a heartbreaking families. I lived with the families once a day, once a week, once a month. It got into the years. I knew what the family was going through, the torture and the pain. Number two, I was there with the police department. I knew the police officers and the detectives that put in long hours, many hours, free time, days off. And I lived with the city of Chicago, how they lived for decades, you know, with a killer on the street.
Mr. Jack, we're almost out of time, but real quickly, what are the lessons of this case?
The lessons I could tell you is, number one, believe that this can't happen to your child, from number one. Your child, they pick up these newspapers and they read about the sensational crimes. Number two, educate your child at a very young age. Number three, believe your child. Number four, try and help your child that is self-esteemed and loneliness. And number five, I believe, is trust your child. I can't.
Believe him. If they say something has happened to him or her, believe him.
Believe him.
James, Jack, thank you very much. Again, the name of the book is Three Boys Missing, the tragedy that exposed the pedophilia underworld. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And there's more Chicago Tonight just ahead, so stick around.
I just got stuck in that last one.